Hey, hi all. Today in this video we will discuss about record level security. So let's start. So first, in the record level security, OWD comes into picture. That is organization wide default. That's in the bottom end. So if we go by this graph, then this is OWD. OWD is the only setting which restrict the access. Other than that, we have manual sharing, then we have sharing rules, and then we have role hierarchy. They all give access, or they all we use in the system to grant access or to share access with different users if the OWD is set to private or public read. For an example, if you have OWD public read on an account and if you want the users to edit that, in that case, you have to configure it according to the role hierarchy and sharing rules, or by using the manual sharing to share the record with the particular users and to give them the edit access so that the records will be editable. But the organization wide default for that for the account object will be public read only. So if it is public read only, it means all the users can see the data, but none of them can edit that other than the user who has created it or who owned it. Okay. Then we have public read write. It means that all the data will be visible to all the users and all the users can make an update to that data, but they cannot delete it. Then we have private. It's as its name suggests, if you have created the account record, then you will have access to that particular record if you own it or if you have created it. Other than that, no user in the system will be able to see that data because they don't have the access, as the OWD is set to private. Then we have one that is OWD public read write transfer. So transfer is only for the, means like this particular setting is only for two objects, that is case and lead. In because you if you want to transfer any lead or if you want to transfer any case, so there that transfer permission comes into picture. So let's discuss about first about OWD. So what is OWD? OWD is organization wide default, and we define OWD on object level. So object can be account, or it can be contact, it can be any object. So you go to the OWD organization wide default from setup, and then you define the access level on account object. It might be private. If it is private, the record owned by that particular user who has logged in will be able to see the records. If you have public read, then all the contact records will be visible to it will be visible to all the users, but they cannot make an edit on that. If you have public read write, it means that they can edit them as well. Okay, majorly as per the business requirement, we have private on the objects, and then according to the need and according to the requirement, we share the access across the business users. So this is about OWD. Then moving ahead, OWD is the only thing to restrict the access of Salesforce records in Salesforce. Okay, so this is the thing to restrict the access. Now there are three different things: this manual sharing, sharing rules, and role hierarchy to share the records with the users as per business requirement. So this is about OWD, and OWD can be set to private, then it can be public read only, then it can be public read write, and then one is public read, write, and transfer. So whenever the OWD is public, read only or private, at that time the sharing of record comes into picture. So to better understand it, whenever the OWD is private or public, read only, so if it is private, that means it will be only visible to the users who own it or who created it. If it is public read only, that means no one can perform edit operations on that. So to open up the access to share the record, we can use manual sharing, sharing rules, and role hierarchy. So first, we will talk about a role hierarchy. So if OWD is set to private or public read only, then only these three things come into picture. That is manual sharing. Oh, sorry, manual sharing, sharing rules, and a role hierarchy. So when we talk about role hierarchy, so as its name suggests, like what is the role and which roles reports to whom. Like for an example, we have roles in the organization. Might be CEO, then it can be sales user, and it can be service. And there is one other user that is service. So if any record is created by a sales user, or if any record is created by a service user, they should be accessible to CEO. So if you want to do this, so then you have to just define the roles and you have to grant role hierarchy access. There is a checkbox, grant role hierarchy access. When you check it, so the role hierarchy will be in place, and the records which are created by sales user and service user, they will be visible to CEO, because CEO is in the upper hierarchy than sales and service. Okay, so if there is anything below sales, for an example, agent 1 and agent 2 is there. So if anything is created by agent 1 and agent 2 in the system, it will sales user will have access to that, and CEO will have access to the records which are created by sales user, as well as to the records created by agent 1 and agent 2 in the system. So this is a role hierarchy. This is one of the way by which you can share the access according to the rules. Then we will talk about the sharing rules. In sharing rules, so okay, so then we have sharing rules. As its name suggests, sharing rules means we have to define some of the rules to share the data across organization. So for an example, sharing rules can be of two type, like ownership based, and one is criteria based. So they are self-explanatory, like it will be on the basis of the who is the owner and to whom you want to share the access. You have to define that, and accordingly then you can write the rule, like if this or that user is the owner, then it will be shared to that particular user, the third user you want to share the data with. Then if on the record level, if this particular, if the, for an example, you have an account, and if the account is of type customer, then you want to share the data with CEO. So then you have to use the criteria based, and in that criteria you have to mention the type of the customer, or sorry, there will be, might be there can be field, for an example, if the name of that account contains customer, or if the type, sorry for that, if the type of that account is customer, then you want to share the data with the CEO or with the sales and service roles. So you can define in that particular criteria. If you have to give the if you have to share the records on some criteria, then you have to go with the sharing rules criteria based. If you want to share the access of the records based on the ownership, then you have to use sharing rules with the ownership based criteria. Okay, so there are two criterias by which there are two different type of criterias. It can be a ownership or it can be a general record criteria in the system, which we have in the sharing rules. So third is manual sharing. As its name suggests, manual sharing is so it is manual sharing. So there is a button on the record. Now it's available in the Lightning too. So if you will go to the record, then there is a drop down in the right side. We have all the buttons which we want to add. Then there is a button that is sharing. If you click on that button, then you can select the user whom you want to share the record with. Then the record will be shared with that particular user. So this is about the manual sharing. As its name suggests, if you want to share the records manually, then you can just give them the access by clicking on that sharing button, which is available on that particular record. Okay, so this is about the record level security which we have, like OWD is to restrict the access, then to open up the access or to share the record across the org. We have role hierarchy, we have sharing rules, and we have manual sharing. We can have a combination of all if we want according to the system requirement. Then one of the sharing type is Apex managed Apex managed sharing. Sorry about handwriting. So this is Apex managed sharing. So sometimes it can be the scenario like you don't have means like the requirement cannot be fulfilled with the sharing rules, means like you cannot directly share the access using sharing rules or role hierarchy or manual sharing. In that case, you have to use Apex managed sharing. The typical example can be like if you want to update any order which is related to an opportunity and you don't have access to that particular order. So then if you have access on the opportunity, you will go to that particular opportunity, and through that opportunity you will go to that particular order, and then through Apex you can have access to that particular order for that particular transaction which you have in which you have written that particular code to be executed in that particular scenario, and then you can update a field on that particular order object. And means like no other user will have access, only the user who is running that particular piece of code will have access to the order object for that particular transaction. The order means the access will not be granted for all the time or for all the users. It will be restricted for that particular code, and that's why it is known as Apex managed sharing. The sharing is managed by the Apex, whatever code you write, and for that particular instance. That's all about the record level security in Salesforce. Thank you. Have a nice day.